Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squad for boxing news and views from around the internet. It seems that Andy Ruiz Jr., the heavyweight contender, is battling more than just Anthony Joshua on June 1st. He's also battling public perception. Public perception as a guy who's not the body beautiful and is having to defend himself on social media, including against guys like Tyson Fury, some of the elite among the division, who are throwing shade at Ruiz Jr. because of his body type. And to be honest, that's a little bit rich for Tyson Fury, given when he came back against the likes of Sefer Seferi and also Francesco Pianeta, he wasn't exactly the definition of an Adonis either. But see here on screen, so Ruiz Jr. says, "I didn't expect at Tyson Fury to mock me for my weight. I thought he would have encouraged me for chasing greatness since he's an advocate for mental health and all." And that's Andy Ruiz Jr. making those statements. And that was in response to Tyson Fury on his social media. And I'll just go to the story. The Sun had picked it up. So see here, this was from his Instagram, from the story, laugh out loud. "Remember the kid from Up. He's now grown up and is fighting Anthony Joshua for the world heavyweight title." And you can see there is a bit of a resemblance there, but also Tyson Fury is, poking a jab at Andy Ruiz Jr.'s weight here. And the story also notes that Ruiz Jr.'s former promoter Bob Arum has also labelled Ruiz as a fat slob in the past. And Ruiz Jr. on his Twitter, so that came in regards to someone had said Fury could have had this fight but chose to sign for a rival company. He's a fine one to mock. And I guess the mocking thing from Tyson Fury is it kind of is Fury, but the more recent version of Fury, who's been all about positive energy, positive vibes, trying to be supportive and really talk up a side of Tyson Fury, post his sort of depression, post the addiction issues, coming back to fight Deontay Wilder. It was all about positive energy, positive talk. And so some of this with mocking Andy Ruiz Jr., with looking like this character from Up, also that's an inference to his weight there. It does seem to run counter to some of the energy that Tyson Fury has been putting out into the world more recently. And given that he was out of shape himself to some extent in his first couple of comeback fights, it is a little bit ironic that he's made some of these comments about Ruiz. And on the public perception front, Andy Ruiz Jr. is trying to, really defend himself here on social media, maybe more than he really should have, but some of these issues are a little bit sensitive. So someone saying, just a payday for you, you don't need to train. And Ruiz Jr. saying, to you it's just a payday, to me it's a part of my legacy and my story. And further down here, this was even before that the fight was announced. BJ Flores leaping to Ruiz Jr.'s defense here about his weight. Ruiz Jr. retweeting it. "Because you calling Andy Destroyer 1 out of shape shows your lack of knowledge / boxing. Everybody's body isn't the same. Andy should have been champion that night. Very dangerous guy." And on April 23rd, he said, "I understand I make people uncomfortable because I'm," and then it's inverted commas, "fat. I hope that my performance will let you respect me as a professional fighter June 1st. Hashtag Snickers. Hashtag Joshua Ruiz." And I guess actually the whole Snickers thing's because he has been playing that up. I mean, you can see here, it's the banner of his Twitter page. Also on his Instagram, the most recent post here, which is someone from his team going into a convenience store asking for a Andy Ruiz Snickers. And, you see this bit here. Here's a Snickers. He's really campaigning, as someone says here, your commitment to getting sponsored by Snickers cannot be doubted. And he has been making a whole big thing about that. Other bits, he's in this one here, if you can see where the cursor is. I'm not going to bring that up because that's a Premier Boxing Champions clip. He's actually eating a Snickers bar on this program. So I guess there is some, from his point of view, he doesn't like to be called fat. He is obviously a world-class boxer. Even though some people will say he doesn't look like a world-class boxer, he does have elite skills. He's got some of the fastest hands in the division. He's a durable guy. He's decent technically. And this is on a par with Jarrell Big Baby Miller. And let's face it, did Jarrell Miller get as much criticism for his weight as Andy Ruiz Jr.? I guess, maybe not. I mean, it was certainly, there were a lot of comments made by fans that Miller was out of shape to some extent, but we know how he was getting himself into shape. But Andy Ruiz Jr. is a top fighter. Is he going to win this fight with Anthony Joshua? Well, maybe not. But the thing is, he is getting a lot of criticism here. And he says here in this tweet, since no other heavyweight wanted to take the fight, I was supposed to not believe in myself. This fight is for all my underdogs who are always counted out. All my fat boys who are never given a chance, overlooked simply for their weight. Hashtag Snickers, Snickers. There it goes again. Hashtag Joshua Ruiz. And someone had said to him, I don't get why you are all hating on this man. He stepped up. What's the greatest prize in all of sports? Did Ortiz? Nope. Wilder? Nope. Dude is a warrior willing to step in that ring on 5 weeks' notice. I give you mad respect, sir. And I think Ruiz does deserve some credit here for being willing and able to take this fight. We don't know what he's got for it. I'm sure he is going to give Joshua a good fight to some extent, and I do believe that Joshua is going to win this, probably stops Andy Ruiz Jr. Ruiz actually says that out of all the guys, Fury, Wilder, and Joshua, he thinks that Joshua is best suited to his style. He thinks it's a good style matchup for himself. I believe it's a good style matchup for Joshua too, because Ruiz will keep coming forward. He doesn't really have much of a back foot game. That's not really in him. He's a pressure fighter. He likes to throw those fast hands, whip in combinations, and he's got a decent chin. And Joseph Parker, who had fought Andy Ruiz Jr., had said of Ruiz Jr. that he was the guy that had hit him hardest in his professional career. And bear in mind, they had sparred prior to their fight in 2016, and Ruiz Jr. had, as Parker said at the time, ripped his mouth open a little bit because Parker had underestimated Andy Ruiz Jr. prior to them sparring. I remember the story where Parker said he saw this guy in the gym who was shadow boxing, but it was almost like in slow motion. Ruiz was like visualizing and just throwing very soft hands, gets into the ring with him, and Ruiz Jr. just, stuns him, shocks him with the speed of his hands, and manages to clip him right on the side of the mouth and, ripped his mouth open a little bit, as Joseph Parker said. And when he recounted that story, he said he couldn't really eat for about 3 days after that. So Ruiz Jr. is, even though he doesn't look the part, that doesn't mean he can't fight. And he's hitting back at some of the people, and the perception here that he, just because he's fat, that he isn't a good boxer, that he doesn't have skills. And I guess that is a part of our society, that people who are not the body beautiful are generally not seen in the same light as someone who might be ripped. And sometimes, just having a ripped body doesn't mean that you're going to be a guy that's going to get the job done. I mean, if I was to look at Andy Ruiz Jr. and say Manuel Cha, for example, I would pick Andy Ruiz Jr. to knock out Manuel Cha all day, every day. Just because Cha has a ripped body, and obviously there's suspicion of some substances there. But anyway, aside from that, I think Ruiz Jr. takes care of him handily enough. There's a number of guys in the division that Ruiz could deal to pretty handily. Can he beat Anthony Joshua? Well, it's an uphill struggle, but he is in with the shot. He will bring some things that Joshua hasn't really seen before. His style is a little bit different to some of the other guys that he's fought, but Joshua probably can, with the height and the reach, overcome those difficulties that Ruiz might bring. It might take him a few rounds to start working him out and breaking him down, but he probably does. But Ruiz Jr. can't be counted out completely. And he is one of these few guys that was willing to step up, take the money on offer, take the fight at short notice, and get in there and try fight for 3 belts and some legacy. So he has to be commended for getting in there for that. And there has been some that was saying that actually Tom Schwartz, who is Fury's upcoming opponent, would beat Ruiz. I don't believe that at all. And this is not me trying to, big up Ruiz because he's fighting Joshua. This is because Tom Schwartz, as if you've seen my coverage in recent weeks and months, he is a very unproven fighter at the elite level. He hasn't fought anyone really above German domestic level. So it's hard to know how good Schwartz is because he hasn't been in the fights that he should have been in for a guy that's going to be stepping into the ring on June 15th for his 25th fight. But anyway, Andy Ruiz Jr. trying to battle public perceptions and also trying to, advocate for the fat guy. He may not be the body beautiful, but he was trying to prove to the world that doesn't matter and that you can still have a Snickers in the process. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.
Hi, how are you doing? I was wondering, I'm feeling a little low on power right now. Is there anything you can recommend?
Why don't you do what Andy Ruiz Jr. does? Eat a Snickers.
Awesome.